This week in Amazingly Terrible, we are watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Episode 4, Model T for Ted.
Party on, Adam.
Party on, Garth?
Wait a minute.
Bill and Ted.
That's not.
I know, that's why it was good.
My brain hurts so bad.
You're listening to Amazingly Terrible, the podcast that asks, if a time loop falls in the woods, does anybody ever actually exist? My name's Adam.
My name's Matt.
My name's David.
I'm Derek.
Mike.
Yo, Mike.
Yes! The miserable Mike.
The miserables.
Mike has awakened from his hibernation. Watches
I
he
was here
ambles
last
down the hill in search of honey and grubs. It's Shark Week here on the show, and I think we should each share our favorite shark survival story.
Well, I had this idea for a suitcase that could also turn into an ironing board. And I was asking for,
Nice!
for
Nice.
a $300,000 investment with a 20% share.
Beautiful.
Russian caviar is banned right now because
Listen, I don't want
it's
conflict
something
caviar.
that we're not going to talk about because we don't bring politics into this podcast.
I don't do conflict diamonds. I don't do conflict caviar. Conflict
no
rubies are
conflict.
okay.
No, conflict
Isn't
diamonds
all
are bad.
caviar conflict caviar in a way? It's like foie gras.
I don't know. I got some bass out back and I sucked the eggs out of them, and that wasn't conflict.
Foie gras?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Yeah, you have to
force
kill a
feed
duck.
every
Actually,
goose,
to answer your question seriously, Matt. So the beluga caviar that comes from Russia,
God.
right? They don't farm it over there. Like they don't have fish farms, but there's actually a Russian immigrant to the United States who opened a beluga caviar fish farm down in Florida, and he is trying to. And he's doing it, but it just hasn't become like commonplace yet. He wants to essentially breed sturgeon for caviar production in the United States, so that you're not putting anything that's getting close to an endangered kind of whatever they call it. You're not further endangering wild fish.
And this is a joint venture with Trump, you say?
No, this is just some fucking. He actually looks and sounds like the crazy Russian guy from Armageddon or Boris the Bullet Dodger.
American
Snatch.
components,
Ooh, nice.
Russian
Nice.
components,
Like,
all
seriously,
made in
yeah,
Taiwan.
talks just like that.
Yeah.
Why do
I'm
they
pretty
call
sure
him
he's Chechenian. I'm pretty sure that
Boris the
that
Bullet
actor is
Dodger?
Chechen.
So
Yeah,
here's
he's
my
Chechen.
problem with
Yeah.
this. As the biologist,
It's because he dodges bullets.
sturgeon is a cold water fish. How could he be in Florida farm raising sturgeon?
Refrigerators.
It's all inside a ice rink. Yeah.
He's got a gigantic refrigerator attached to
what
it.
he
An
did is
Olympic-sized pool.
he cut all the tops and bottoms off of like 100 refrigerators and laid them all in a big circle, and now he's just got a big circle of cold water for the sturgeon.
I got a circle for you.
Yeah, it's essentially like the Large Hadron Collider, except for with
fridges.
refrigerated water.
and
Yeah.
sturgeons.
And
So
sturgeons inside of it, yeah.
it's a big surgeon circle jerk.
It's a sturgeon
they
collider.
produce-
It's a sturgeon collider. That's how
Yeah.
you get the caviar, is when they hit, the caviar
Yep.
explodes out of the collider. So,
Yeah, there's all the sturgeon go one direction except for one sturgeon.
all right.
Bill and Ted's, like, did you pull this from, like, the darkest corners of the internet, like, in, like, 240p?
Yes, I did.
How many Bitcoin did we have to shell out for this?
Oh, I'm better than that.
Here's a serious question. Rufus, is he Phil Collins, or is that George Carlin?
It's George
It's
Carlin.
George Carlin. All right, so tonight we're talking about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Mike, you're asking about George Carlin. George Carlin did, in fact, start a relationship later in life working with Kevin Smith, and he was actually in several Kevin Smith movies.
He was like the bishop in Dogma.
Yeah, he was the bishop in Dogma, and then he was also in the non-Kevin Smith movie where it was like J-Lo and Ben Affleck were a couple, and then J-Lo died,
Geely.
and Ben Affleck had to raise. Yeah,
Was that the plot? I don't know.
Yeah. Ben Affleck had to raise his daughter, basically, solo. So
this is a horror story.
yes, it's a horror.
The horror story is that
well, he moved
Ben
back in
Affleck
with his
has
father.
access to a child.
Ben Affleck moved back in with his dad, George Carlin. And George Carlin taught him how to be human.
Dad.
So, yeah.
Can you imagine how beautiful the woman would have to be to have birthed Ben Affleck from combining herself with George Carlin? Like, what a dip she had to go down. She must have been gorgeous, and then she like mixed her DNA with this troglodyte to make an Affleck. Look, he's ugly.
Yes, exactly. And he's a really bad Batman. And he should feel bad about that.
What if George Carlin played Batman?
Oh, that would be amazing. Especially since he's dead. If they just had his corpse like Weekend at Bernie style Batman.
Yes. You could see the strings where they're like jerking George Carlin's arms around in the bat suit.
And you know what's really funny? I don't think he'd be upset about that, so.
I think he would love it. Look at him, he's smiling.
So let's go ahead and get into it. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is an animated television series spin-off. It is a 1990 cartoon, and it's a spin-off of the 1989 film of the same title, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, in which two time-traveling slackers go back in time with the help of a future... What's the right guide that gives them a time travel device that allows them to go back and gather up some of history's greatest characters?
Was Arsenio Hall one of the main like?
And bring them out.
Was who are the elders? I swear Arsenio Hall was one of them.
He may have been.
I like to think of Rufus as like as the Virgil to Dante. You know, like he's showing him, and he'll in return be birthed as a great poet, the way Bill and Ted are going to be birthed as great poets.
I can see that. I can see that. At any rate, essentially for this cartoon, it features two dim-witted teenage musicians, Bill and Ted, who are visited by Rufus, a man from the future, who needs them to graduate from high school in order to start a rock band that will inspire the people of the future and create peace and harmony for all throughout the world. They travel
I stop
to
you
various time periods, making sure the history happens as it should, creating
Apparently you can't.
constant time loops. So, Mike, what's up? What's up?
How amazingly like 1980s is that a rock band can determine the future of like the free world and provide everything amazing for the future, like just them rocking out, and that makes everybody happy. Like
Like
if that's
the
not
Scorpions?
if that's not communism, I don't know what is.
Well, the Scorpions led to the fall of communism, so the CIA hired them to write a song that would force Russia to end the Cold War.
Are you talking about the Song of Silence?
Paul Simon?
No, Wind of Change.
Wind of
the Scorpions,
Change.
Wind of Change. You haven't heard this
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
whole like pseudo history?
Canard?
So the Wind of Change caused the downfall of communism
Soviet
in
Union.
Russia, and not
Yes.
not Reaganomics.
Not.
Let's just say
Not
those two
Reaganomics,
things.
no.
Let's just say
I
those two
feel
things were
trickled on.
equally responsible.
I feel trickled on every day when rich people trickle on me.
You have the weirdest politics.
A combination of like fetishism and
I do think it's
Reaganism.
interesting,
Well, I guess
though.
it was the same thing.
It's conflict capitalism.
That's the capitalism you got to smuggle out in your butt.
Yes, it's like digging a hole and like sneaking it out through your butthole. That's my form of capitalism.
What is he talking about?
I have no idea. Or is it? I think he's talking about like keystring cash and then getting it out in the yard and burying it.
Holes in his hole. I don't understand. I do think it's interesting thinking about like the utopia of Bill and Ted. Like that utopia is very much like a hippie sort of idea that music and culture are going to lead us to this utopia in the future, but they've decided like to retroactively apply it to 80s meatheads.
It's rock kumbaya.
And then also, like we're seeing in this animated series, is the time loops. Essentially, Bill and Ted are responsible for almost all of the accomplishments that history's great peoples have
So
contributed
great
to society. So,
Yes, I love So Great.
I gotta say that still actually sits with me. One of my favorite scenes from the original movie was them pulling in on Socrates as he's playing with sand, and he's in front of a symposium and talking to people, and he says, "Like sand through an hourglass, so too are the days of our lives."
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
Every rose has a thorn.
My Bill and Ted memory is that I went to see it with my older sister.
What?
You have an older sister?
Yeah, I went to see it with my older sister. When I saw it, they meet themselves, right, to prove that they are going to travel through time and it's real. And they come out and they say, "What number are we thinking of?" And they're like, 69.
69, dudes.
Right?
Dudes.
And I remember not getting it at all. Did not get it. I was too young. And I said, I kept asking my sister, like, I don't get it. What is that? And then finally I was like, is it that one thought of 6 and the other thought of 9? And my sister,
He just said yes.
yeah, my sister was
That's
like,
absolutely
that's fine. Go away.
But did she know what it was? Because I don't recall.
Yes,
how
of
old she was
course.
then. Okay.
She kept saying
Gotcha.
like, you'll get it when you're older.
How much older
How
is
old
she
were you
than
when
you?
you saw that? Like, what was the age that you didn't know?
Yeah, what's the age
10.
difference?
I mean, before I knew about 69s and I was doing them on the reg with hot women.
It would have
I was
been. It would have come
5.
out in '89, so he would have been 10.
Fuck you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're older than us. You're such a grandfather.
I'm like my own grandfather, like Bill and Ted.
Like
Like
Fry from Futurama.
Yeah, for Fry. Yeah,
Yeah, you did the nasty in the pasty.
In the pasty.
Prove to me that Bill and Ted did not go back and fuck their mothers. Prove to me that
Actually,
didn't happen.
Did you
I mean,
see
they
the new
really-
Bill and Ted movie? Because I'm pretty sure that's
Have
what the
I
plot
told
was.
you that I'm related to Missy Mom? She's my
Yes, you
she's
did.
my
You
my
told us last
mom's
time.
cousin. Yeah, so
Yeah, tell us again.
That's
though.
why-
Lay it on us one more
that's
time.
why you're
But
so
in the
beautiful.
80s, they were all about like time travel and then trying to smash your mom. Like they really, really explored that in Back to the Future.
oh boy,
They really got
They
really
really-
got up in there.
Yeah.
well,
That's one thing you got to say about movie producers. They really get the incest right when it comes to time travel.
Yeah, it's like they have an inside track.
Okay, so interesting thing about this cartoon, it came out again a year after the original Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, George Carlin, they all actually reprised their roles for this animated series for the first season. So the first 13
No
episodes,
shit.
we are actually hearing the actual actors that portrayed these guys in the movies in the cartoon. 1991
Yeah.
rolled around, and they actually had to replace them because all of them went on to do other shit because they all had other shit to do.
yeah,
So,
bigger and better things.
I thought they did a good job. Yeah, I thought they did a really
thought
good
so, too.
job.
So what wound up happening is they got replaced by Evan Richards and Christopher Kennedy, and those actors actually went on to portray Bill and Ted in the 1992 live-action television series, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So
Oh man, there's a show I never want to see.
we're adding it to the list.
God
Yeah.
damn it!
Oh, I think it's already on the list.
Okay, nice.
There's your redemption.
So just
right
give
there.
you, just to give you a little bit of background, the actors for this film, we have Ted being played by Keanu Reeves, who has an extensive film career, and I'm sure you will undoubtedly recognize him from his roles in 1986 Babes in Toyland, in the hit 1993 Alex Winters directed movie Freaked, in which he played the de facto leader of the Freaks, Dog Boy, and he was uncredited for that role.
I know
Yes.
kung fu.
So in this cartoon, Keanu, they have the OG voice actors.
Yep. In this
Because
episode, yes, because this is the 4th episode.
The
So,
OG.
Because at the very
OG.
end, George Carlin is listed as a voice talent, but I didn't see
Yeah, they didn't.
Keanu or Alex Winters. Not
they're-
saying that they didn't, but I'm just saying
It's-
that Carlin was listed.
It's very interesting. It might be that it's cut off a little because we start right in the beginning, so we might be missing like an
The
early
first-
credit.
yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Could be,
remember
could
the
be.
credits show up in the beginning back in the 90s.
It's just credits all the time.
Guys, remember in the movies back in the 80s and 90s, all the credits showed up in the beginning, like Fox Robin Hood. You had to sit through like 10 minutes of credits, and it was like the most painful thing in the world. Like, you watched all these fucking people that you cared less about because you were like a 10-year-old kid. And nowadays, I love that they just jump right into the movie. It's like, fuck this. And if you want to, you could sit through the credits at the end and see the Easter egg at the end.
Okay, so I actually just
All
fast
right.
forwarded to the very end of the episode, and they are the voice actors. They're
Yeah.
listed on page 2 and 3, respectively, because it's done in alphabetical order. So that's how of a
wow.
C-lister Keanu was back in the day, that he did not
no, yeah,
headline
yeah.
that list. He just was Keanu Reeves. He goes where the R's.
Alex Winters, you would actually know from The Lost Boys, where he played the one vampire that had 2 lines and then was killed in the lamest way when he was hung upside down and just got stabbed real quick by one of the Varone brothers.
Also, you might remember him from not having a career after this.
Well, no, because he was also the lead character in the 1993 movie Freaked, which he also directed. So... And Freaked was a 1993 American comedy consisting of surrealist and absurdist humor, much like the live-action Simpsons. And in fact, a lot of the Simpson jokes are post-dated after Freaked, and there is some speculation that they got a lot of the material for the Simpsons from Freaked.
Hold
Freaked is
up.
starring actors such as Randy Quaid, Bobcat Goldthwait, Brooke Shields, speaking of, Keanu Reeves, of course. And the film suffered from a bunch of post-production meddling from the studio because they actually didn't want the movie to be released because the studio had changed midstream.
Holy shit!
So there was no
Adam's
marketing
gotten
for
us a
this.
sponsor.
So-
Adam got us sponsors, and it's Alex Winters.
So everybody watch Alex Winters Freaked while you're enjoying your Blue Mountain Bean. Stick it in your bean hole.
Freaked.
But no, yeah, going back to like 1991, Keanu Reeves taking a career taking off. That's actually really true. The very first thing in 1991 is he was in a indie film, My Private Idaho. Which like did really, really well when it came to all the film festivals, and then that immediately led into Point Break, where he played
Point Break.
the FBI agent that was going after Brody, the Patrick Swayze character.
Johnny Utah.
My own
Johnny
Private
Utah.
Idaho
There
was
we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that movie.
My own Private
Yeah.
Idaho was directed by Gus Van Sant.
Oh, really?
Who directed other prized films such as...
He was the director on the Matt Damon breakout movie,
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
He also directed a film called Elephant that's very good. He's a very well respected indie director.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
I actually saw, it was a clip of a podcast where they were interviewing Ben Stiller, and he was approached by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck to direct Good Will Hunting, and he essentially was like, who the fuck are these guys? No. And then it went on to win Oscars.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. So, in 1991, Keanu Reeves also started his band Dog Star, and in 1992, he went on to do Bram Stoker's Dracula, where he played that one dude that got it on with 3 sexy
that's right.
vampires,
He
but he never nutted.
That's right. I forgot he was in that movie.
But his real breakout role wasn't until 1993 in the little-known Kenneth Branagh film, Much Ado About Nothing, where he plays Don John.
Yes, and he has literally 4 lines.
Was that really his considered breakout role?
No.
It was a huge joke when everybody was like making a big deal about Keanu Reeves doing Shakespearean acting because it was getting back to his roots is what everybody was saying, because he was when he was a kid, he used to do a lot of Shakespeare, and he was horrible in that fucking movie. It was horrible.
Is that the one that has actually like him and Denzel are in it, and actually the costumes are pretty fantastic looking, but the rest of it is hot trash.
Everyone but him is great.
Yeah, it actually is a pretty good movie. It's just he's not. I mean, there's a reason why he's only got 4 lines. So,
well, that's his
magnum
character.
opus, really.
That's his character.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
but
he's the Othello of that movie.
He's the Othello of that movie with Denzel Washington, who played Othello.
Othello.
All right. So I think that I've set up everything. Let's get into the summary, shall we?
Whenever time stands still and trouble moves too fast, to save the future, we must learn about the past.
So one more question before you get into the summary, because Bill and Ted was a little bit ahead of my time. No, there were 2 feature-length films with Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves as Bill and Ted, right? Excellent Adventure was the first one.
There are 3 now.
Well, discounting the one that just came out, but this was the first. Excellent Adventure was the first one, right?
Oh
yes. And then Bogus Journey was the second.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did that one come
Bogus
out?
Bogus Journey was a little bit more. I think Bogus Journey came out in 1992. It was actually pretty quickly. They actually got it released.
If Excellent Journey plunges the depths of time, Bogus Journey is much more metaphysical. It really explores the mind and the psyche of these characters.
I was actually just going to say that, actually. They go to the future. They go to Station, where they meet Station, right? That's the name of the alien. Then they go to Hell, and they fight Death.
I think they go to. Yeah, I think it's Hell or Purgatory, and they go to Heaven.
Yeah, and then they go to Heaven at some point in time. But then, was it Heaven or was it some sort of weird space station? It was actually much more colorful and much more creative than the first movie.
They had robot doppelgangers.
Yes,
they got replaced by robot doppelgangers who kissed their girlfriends.
The first movie was almost like it felt more like it was a straight to VHS style movie that just happened to make its way into theaters, and then it exploded, and that's the reason why there's so much Bill and Ted paraphernalia everywhere. So, because
it's really why we live in a post Bill and Ted world,
We kind of, yeah. Doing just a little bit of scratching of the surface, there was the first 2 Bill and Ted movies. There was a Bill and Ted cartoon, the Bill and Ted live action series, Bill and Ted comics from DC Comics. There was a Bill and Ted cereal, which apparently was dog shit in a bowl. There was
Jesus, cut out the editorial.
All right.
There was MTV's Bill and Ted's National Air Guitar Championship. There was a Bill and Ted themed premiere party for all the movies that came out. Bill and Ted action figures. Bill and Ted collectible posable figures. The Bill and Ted video game. Bill and Ted musical adventure, which I guess was an actual music of Bill and Ted, the Excellent Adventure, that was done in a symphony environment. There are a bunch of McDonald's ads that mimic Bill and Ted, but the best one was Weezer apparently did a Wild Stallions edition for their song Beginning of the End.
Nice. Plus, I have a tattoo of Bill and Ted kissing across my butt cheeks.
That's right. When you make them clap, that's when the real action happens.
That's when the tongue. That's when they get the tongue in there.
So, I remember Bill and Ted being kind of a cultural phenomenon, but boy, they blew the fuck up. Was this just kind of a perfect storm of just everybody was was this a meme of 33 years ago?
Kind of. I think it kind of was,
more a meme, yeah.
Because it was almost like one of the appeals for Keanu Reeves in general is just he kind of is the everyman. He has that
that's why everybody likes him in most everything that he does. Yeah,
because they can kind of project themselves onto him pretty easily. But aside from that, it was just sort of me, David, Mike, and Matt being prepubescent teens. Yeah. When a movie about some cool slacker high schoolers time traveling and getting to hang out with like all of these famous people throughout time,
And
where
their
they got
girlfriends are
famous
princesses.
girlfriends. Yeah, exactly. That it kind of just sort of like fit the bill for us. That, and then the guy that played Napoleon was just sort of funny, running around San Dimas, trying to get to the Waterloo.
But I don't know. They did this with a lot of films during that period. Like like they did it with films like Gremlins. They did it whenever
Yeah.
they felt like they had enough cultural cachet to get people to buy the license.
That's fair. That is fair.
But
yeah.
this one seems to have persisted though. Did it have that level of charm? Do you think? Like
I think it's
like,
Keanu Reeves has persisted. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
It's because he's so
Yeah.
wholesome.
That's
somewhat.
why.
Yeah.
Because they talked about making a Bill and Ted 3 for probably about like 20 years. And Alex Winters was always saying, hey, I'm ready to do it when Keanu is, because Alex Winters wasn't doing a damn thing. So, and
Hey,
I think
I mean,
what about
I
a little
wouldn't be
film
too-
called Freaked?
that is a
I
fine
wouldn't-
film, my friend. If you
I
haven't
wouldn't be
watched
too
Freaked,
unhappy to
go onto
be Alex
YouTube.
Winter though.
I'd be fine being
was-
Alex Winter.
Yeah, dude, he's one half of fucking Bill and Ted. Guy's living off royalties on that. He doesn't have to do shit,
Not only that, but
and everybody
he's
has
the smart
like a
one.
positive memory of
Yeah.
him.
I think he actually did a lot of directing and production too. So he was like behind the scenes doing stuff. So, I mean, Freaked, the movie that he made, was a $12 million movie. It cost $12 million to shoot. So he had that experience under his belt. So of course Hollywood was calling him to do other film projects, I'm sure. So I wouldn't discount him.
I can't tell if he's still pitching or not. what did Alex give you?
At this point, it wouldn't surprise me
Hope.
if Alex
He gave me
Winter
hope.
went on to a very lucrative career of voicing every Pokemon fucking game there was, like Mark Hamill style. Like,
Yeah,
man,
Mark
you were Luke
Hamill's
Skywalker.
like the
What
man.
else did you do? Every voice actor ever, every cartoon character,
Nice.
I did them all. That's who I did. You know, it's that meme, like while you were banging chicks, I was studying the blade. No, Mark Hamill was voicing the Joker, baby.
Do you think that Alex Winter was banging chicks?
No.
Probably
Never.
not. I think he was probably never. It's like the Hall of
ever done it. Sorry, Derek.
It's the Hall of Notes thing where the one of them was like, "Yeah, I slept with like 3,300 women when we were like big," and the other guy was like, "What?" Like, oh, you were pulling that much ass? Oh, fuck. I guess I wasn't doing so great.
Okay, so we open up the episode to
Oh
Ted
Jesus, we haven't even started yet.
having his 41st driving lesson with his father inside his father's police car. And this is when we get another one of those situations where obviously the writers of the episode sent written notes to the Korean animators describing what a cop car looks like on the inside. And then the Korean animators just sort of like running with it and not really knowing. So we have magic switches on the dashboard that turn on windshield wipers and the siren and the lights. We get from this exchange, though, that Ted has no idea what he's doing when it comes to driving, and his father is at his wit's end. It has basically told him to stop, get out of the car, and that he's never having another driver's lesson again. And this is when Ted takes it as to mean that he is an excellent driver and doesn't need any more lessons.
Why does he have such beady eyes?
Because
Keanu
of the
does-
animation style.
He's got the beadiest little eyes that I've ever seen on like anybody.
It is in a stark contrast the way Bill is animated.
Versus his
Yeah.
dad
Versus Ted.
or
No, versus
Ted.
Ted, because Ted is like, he just has the single black dot for the eye, whereas everybody
Yeah.
else does have like properly
Whites of the whites.
drawn eyes with like the whites of the eye. Yeah.
Do you think that's because he's high? Is that what it's trying to communicate? His like pupils
Maybe.
are insanely dilated.
Or like his eyes are actually like bloodshot to the point where they look like skin.
Yeah. He gets that well-known condition that potheads get, where skin grows over your eyes.
I think this
Exactly.
is think this is racist against Hawaiians.
Maybe. It could be.
Yeah. I don't know that, but Now that you've suggested it and put the idea in my head, I'm going to go for it.
Like, Keanu is clearly the more photogenic of the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ted's little brother is hanging out with Bill, and Ted's little brother basically makes some comment about how it's safe to go back outside because Ted's driver's license or driving lesson is over. And Bill then makes a comment about how it's about time because they need to go get the new Led Zeppelin CD from Abdul's music shop before Abdul's music shop opens and everybody
It
purchases
is
the CD.
not a Led Zeppelin CD.
Oh, did he not say
it's-
Led Zeppelin? What did he
It's
say?
Iron Maiden.
Not. It's Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. Fuck me. Okay. well, that
Led
shows
Zeppelin
you
was
how much I
already
paying
broken
attention.
up by this time.
Yeah, someone
I was actually going to go
bailed.
into a whole thing about that. Damn it. Now I got to look up Iron Maiden. So if this was in tandem with the 1990s movie, this would have been No Prayer for the Dying. The name of the Iron Maiden CD that was being released that they wanted to grab at this point. It marks the first lineup change since 1982 when Smith left the band during the pre-production phase. So,
All right, let's get on with the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
We are
working.
really
goals.
derailing tonight.
Holy
so
shit.
one thing I did want to point out though is that Ted's little brother basically said Abdul's music shop is 5 blocks away. You can just fucking walk it. And Bill says, oh, we got new sneakers, we don't want to damage them or something like that. But really what this speaks to is how inevitably anybody who gets a magic teleportation device immediately becomes lazy and will rely on instantaneous transportation over any type of like manual transportation whenever they can.
But why
So
do they take the
at the-
car that says 1973 on it, on the license plate?
That's the Plymouth. 1973
Duster, right?
Plymouth Duster. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, they chose the most inefficient means of transportation ever. I mean, there's probably lead that they're sucking out of the exhaust pipe.
Oh, of course they are. Of course they are. But the reason for this is because you'll find out later on that they left their time-traveling phone booth by the convenience store, which was driving distance away from their place, rather than having the time travel device at their home.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to play off when you have a phone booth in your room. Like, if you stole a street sign, your parents would be like, he's
Yeah.
going through a phase. But when you have a fucking
You got a
phone
phone
booth
booth.
in your room, yeah, then your parents are like,
That's
well,
like, is
we're
this a
gonna have
felony?
talk.
I think this is more than $500 worth of damage. Yeah.
Yes.
Grand Theft phone booth.
It's an excellent point.
So, Bill sells Ted.
Also,
okay,
for our listeners, a
let's-
phone booth.
Oh, yeah, okay. So phone
Okay.
booths were these things that used to exist back in the 1990s and before.
Superman.
Actually, for reference,
Superman used to get changed.
Yeah, Superman used to change in them. Let's go way back, way back.
for reference of this, you want to go back and watch. God, I can't even remember the name of the actor. The
Colin
movie
Farrell.
Phone Booth, starring Colin Farrell. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Oh god, that was the boringest movie
Yeah.
fucking ever.
In which when she has to fight a radioactive phone booth to the death.
Exactly, voiced by Donald Sutherland.
Yes. Old Vampire King himself.
Old Vampire King
That was
Donald
the worst
Sutherland.
fucking
Sutherland.
movie ever.
Soylent Green is made of people.
Yeah. And he's sucking them down.
It's made out of people.
Wasn't that Charlton Heston?
Yeah.
No, I'm mixing like so many fucking things because there's also
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves that was in Phone Booth. Donald Sutherland was in the Pod People, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Charleston Heston.
Charlton
Reeves was in
Heston.
phone booth?
Charleston
Yeah,
Heston.
Keanu Reeves. Jeez, did I say Keanu Reeves? Kiefer Sutherland. Jesus Christ. God damn it.
Why did they name their child Charleston Heston? It's like
Because
an
he was really
alliteration.
into shitting on people.
It's the alliteration just kind of bugs me.
He was really into pooping his pants. That's why.
There's lots of ton.
At any rate, Bill asks Ted to drive, and Ted says that he can't because he needs an adult present, because all he has is his learner's permit. Learner's permit. Jesus Christ. Luckily, that's when Rufus, their time guide, shows up, and he shows up because he needs to come back in time to service their phone booth. So he shows up in his phone booth to basically service their phone booth. And they said, oh, excellent timing. You can be in the car while we drive to the music store, and you can be the adult. Of course, Rufus has no idea how to drive a car, so they just sort of have this series of gag reels where they're like acting as very poor drivers trying to drive up a hill. And they do a lot of different things where the voice acting doesn't match up with the animation, or at the very least they're telling and not showing in the animation for some of the jokes, and it just doesn't really land at all. So anyway, they fuck up the vehicle, it breaks down, and they figure, okay, we need to find somebody that can help us repair the car. And they run to their phone booth, which is next to a convenience store, and they just
leaving
look
Rufus to fix the car.
Yeah, leaving Rufus to fix the car.
Poor Rufus from way the F in the future.
To the point where he doesn't even know what the word engine really means. Because he says, what is an engine? But they look up Plymouth in the phone booth and dial in the number for Plymouth, thinking that might take them to either a Plymouth dealership or a Plymouth repair shop. And instead it takes them to Plymouth Rock. And we get to see that the pilgrims that first came to Plymouth Rock in New England were actually conquistadors and French maids.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they threw a lot of THs onto the end of all the fucking words.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All of the voice acting in this show is painful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would argue that Bill and Ted's voice acting was actually pretty spot on. It did not sound, to me, it didn't sound painful. It was just way too many puns that they forced them to say, basically.
It was overwritten.
The
Yeah.
basis of a good voice actor comes from good acting. So I would argue that people who start in voice acting don't have the same kind of acting chutzpah that real actors do going into voice acting.
Right. Frank Welker.
Yeah, they're fucking
Peter
garbage
Weller.
people. Yeah. they're goddamn garbage people over there.
Hank Azaria.
All
Talentless hacks, I say.
Things are said in such a way to, like, almost like a 5 or 6 year old would say something when they're trying to, like, prove you wrong. Like, trying to, like, point out, like, the differences in your knowledge versus their knowledge, almost. By just being very blatant with the way they change things.
Do you think that Bill and Ted captured a zeitgeist, or were they wholly, completely constructed?
I think the latter. I think is actually what wound up happening. I think with the advent of time travel, essentially the zeitgeist from each separate era came together and like culminated or accreted into physical form. And that's what Bill and Ted are. They are actually the physical, accreted form of zeitgeist throughout all ages into a singular, or two singular entities. Two singular entities. Or maybe a singular entity, you know?
I think they're nihilists.
And that's the reason why they seem like they're so dumb compared to our age. It's because they're actually smart for all the timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely nihilists.
Anyway, about halfway through the section with the pilgrims, I glanced down.
Section.
I glanced down and realized we were halfway through the cartoon, and I was like, "Hey, it's not too bad. It's not as torturous as I thought. This bit's quite
not a lot
boring."
left.
Yeah, but you know what? We've gotten to halfway, and I'm not mad.
That's right. Well,
You're more
in this
perturbed.
section we see Bill and Ted essentially name Plymouth Rock because they were talking about their Plymouth Duster needed to get fixed, and it put the idea in the Pilgrims' minds. And then the Pilgrims showed up and said they were very weird, and that's the reason why they left England, but they're not actually that weird, and like they're happy, and they like to be inclusive to all people, and then they are immediately racist towards some First Peoples that are actually there.
It's like Addams Family too.
They immediately start to fight, and then Bill and Ted introduce them to the concept of Thanksgiving, because that's when they get off school, and it's their favorite holiday. So they then try to like force a Thanksgiving feast upon the First Peoples and the Pilgrims all at the same time. And this is when Of course, this is the first historic thing they're doing, but this is when we realize that much like Widget the World Watcher, when it comes to educating kids about the environment, Bill and Ted is just going to be absolute garbage when it comes to any type of historical accuracy about anything.
Yeah. This is actively anti-educational.
Exactly.
I
exactly.
do feel dumber.
They did get funding from the anti-education departments, headed by the GOP, and
That's distressingly accurate.
back to the show. The Pilgrims are forced to sit down to a feast by Bill and Ted. The Pilgrims want them to cook a baby turkey, which they refuse to do.
We don't eat old animals. We eat young animals.
No, they don't taste good.
Yeah. They're
Because they don't taste good. Yeah.
Could you imagine like slicing off a piece of my ass and trying to eat it? God, it would taste awful.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we all crashed into
This
like
is
the
going to be a
Chilean,
rough one to edit, David.
if we all crashed into the
That's-
Chilean mountains,
I'm going to be the one cutting all this shit out.
and
It's-
if,
It's going to keep.
if you had to,
busy.
if you had to like,
Mike,
go,
why do you think we all made friends with Derek?
if you had to go full on alive on me, you would
it's
be
because
like,
if we
this
crash the
guy's,
Andes, we eat Derek first.
this
Yeah.
is
He's the
gamey
young,
as fuck.
supple
Yeah.
beefcake.
Did you see his? Have you seen his delicious body?
No, it's too tough. He works it out too much.
They wind up getting super pissed at Bill and Ted because they still haven't killed the baby turkeys, so they throw them in a stockade. And one of the native peoples comes up and says, hey, if you give me the recipe for your trout slushy, I'll let you go. And apparently the trout slushy is just shaved ice, trout, and salt, I think he said, in a blender, yes. And that's enough to satisfy one of these first people, and he just kicks the stockade and shatters it immediately. And Bill and Ted run off to their phone booth, jump in it, hit in some coordinates, and they zap away, but it seems to go wonky. And this is when Bill and Ted wind up on, I don't know the name of the ship, but it's Sir Francis Drake's ship in the middle of the English Canal, circa 1585. Where they're in a firefight with the pirate O'Malley, which is Grace O'Malley, who is an Irish princess, who has actually a very huge and storied life. Crazy stuff.
Bill and Ted's time machine lands in the crow's nest.
And Sir Francis Drake accuses them of being spies, being spies for Spain, right? They say, no, we're not spies, and Sir Francis Drake doesn't believe them, ties them to the mast of his ship. Bill and Ted find out they're fighting O'Malley, and they keep on referencing O'Malley's ship. So they start screaming out to O'Malley's ship to try to get O'Malley to come over and rescue them, even though they don't really know who O'Malley is. And they're able to do this because they're all in a fog, trying to hide from each other, and it's the noise that kind of sets them off. O'Malley's men invade the ship. They wind up overtaking Sir Francis Drake's men, inadvertently releasing Bill and Ted. That's when we find out that Grace O'Malley was actually just trying to talk to Sir Francis Drake and talk him into being part of her bowling league, and they were actually shooting bowling balls, not cannonballs, at the other ship. Sir Francis Drake seems to be happy about this, and they decide, I guess, it seems like the subtext is they decide to be on the same bowling league. Bill gives Grace O'Malley the baby turkey so she can have a parrot on her shoulder, which is going to be a giant goddamn fucking parrot weighing down this woman.
I picture her in about 16 months. It's just this behemoth mini fridge on her shoulders.
Yeah. Just squawking and pecking at her eyeballs.
A velociraptor.
Yeah. It's like it's
Like not
waddled.
Jurassic Park size, but like actual velociraptor size.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And she basically says to Bill and Ted, what can I do to thank you for
No,
this pet?
no, fuck it. I'm going on a tangent. So Jurassic Park, the Velociraptors
okay.
were not Velociraptors. The
they
Campies were
weren't.
Velociraptors.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, but weren't Compies, like the Compsognathus, were actually that size too?
Okay, I haven't researched this. So.
Why didn't you research this, David? How did you not know we were going to go to Jurassic Park?
David, why didn't you
Bill and
research
Ted's
all of
Excellent
the
Adventure.
tangents that you like? Why didn't you research all of the tangents that we could possibly go on?
The guys basically say to Grace O'Malley, can you please just get our phone booth down? To which they wind up shooting the mast until the phone booth dumps out of the crow's nest. The guys jump in and they go back to their regular timeline. And when they show up, they see that Rufus has actually completely disassembled the Plymouth T Duster. And Ted's dad has shown up to arrest the dude because he's blocking traffic. And that's when we get the exchange between the two of them where Rufus says that Rufus is actually his middle name because in the future they do not have first or last names. States that he hasn't been born yet, which pisses off Ted's dad, and he decides to take him to jail. Ted's dad says it would take Henry Ford to put this car back together now. And Bill and Ted overhear this, so they decide to jump back in the phone booth to go back in time and find Henry Ford to enlist his help to rebuild the car. They wind up going back in time to Dayton, Ohio, instead of Detroit, in 1903, and they wind up meeting the Wright brothers. And this is when we get the best pun of the entire episode, where Bill says, we went back to the right time, and the Wright brothers were the wrong place.
It really tickled me.
Me too.
I mean, honestly, it's better than most writing on most of the other shows we've watched. It's not good.
That's fair. That's fair. But at any rate, we find out that the Wright brothers were actually just trying to create a lighter bike in order to go into the first Tour de France. And that's actually how they wound up inventing their flying machine. And it was Bill and Ted that showed them that it could fly because they had to use it to get up to their time booth, which had parked in the sky, again because it's malfunctioning due to its lack of maintenance.
These two motherfuckers look like they dropped out of another cartoon.
That they do.
They feel like it feels like they've traveled not back in time, not only like conceptually, but they've also done it artistically. In that now they are in a previous art style.
Indeed. And the funny thing was, I thought they actually did all their experimentation with flying machines in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, for whatever reason.
Well, they explained in this one that they're not building a flying machine. They are simply trying to make this one go faster, and inadvertently.
Yeah, they're inventing a bicycle, not a flying machine.
Having our intrepid duo make their way to Detroit, where they find Henry Ford on a horse-drawn carriage, getting food thrown at him because he's holding up traffic. And that's when they introduce to him the idea of the automobile, and they offer to take him to the future so he can fix their car. And he has no idea what they're talking about, but he wants to get out of there because everybody's throwing shit at him, so he just jumps to the phone booth with them and goes to the future. And that's when we actually wind up getting a cutaway scene, I think, of Rufus getting his mugshots taken. Is that right?
Yes.
And Rufus is basically like being a bit of a smartass, saying, hey, can I get, 10 by 10s of these so I can frame them or something like that. And he gets hauled off to jail. Ford takes a first crack at rebuilding the car, and he makes some sort of strange flying machine-looking contraption.
Yeah, it's like a cross between a Model T and a plane.
Yeah, it looks like a dune buggy with wings, basically.
And he says, okay. And they say, that's not a car. And he says, okay, let me take another crack at it. And then he rebuilds it perfectly after that. Mm-hmm. And that's when he decides he wants to go back to his time frame and start a new company. And he's going to make a car of his own. And he's going to name it the Model B&T. And they say, that sounds like a sandwich. They said, okay, let me flip for it. And he flips. It lands on tails. So he says, I'm going to name it the Model T. Not for Ted, but for Tails.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Bum, bum, bum. We cut to the final scene where Bill and Ted are at the police station trying to plead the case that Rufus is actually a good guy and he was there to help Bill and Ted with the whole vehicle situation. And somehow they managed to talk Ted's father into letting Rufus go because Henry Ford had rebuilt the Plymouth Duster. So everything is resolved. But Bill and Ted wind up getting their Iron Maiden CD because it turns out that the car accident or like the holdup on the highway that they had caused with the Plymouth Duster actually wound up causing Abdul's music van to dump all of the new Iron Maiden CDs out in the roadway. So he conscripts all of the people that are standing around watching, including Bill and Ted, to help him clean up the CDs in exchange for a single Iron Maiden CD. Boom. Finn. Done. What did you guys think of the show?
All right, let's.
I thought it was shitty.
Yeah.
Can we do the Bill and
That's my
Ted's
answer.
checklist?
Wait, let's.
Do,
Oh,
do you-
wait.
Do you have a
You have a
checklist?
Bill and Ted's
I
checklist?
have a Bill and Ted's checklist. David, I
Okay.
expect your
Go for it.
size, and yes or no.
Hey,
In
David, I don't expect you.
Was, is this for me? What?
yes, this is a segment between you and me, a la anime checklist, but this is a Bill and Ted checklist. Did they have an excellent adventure?
Is this a good time for me to take
This
this
is
on
a
the
good
outside?
checklist.
This is
I
a good
like
time.
this checklist.
This is a good time for Derek to take a bathroom break or a re-up on the beer, because this is a repeat of our anime checklist last week, and this is very special to me and David.
Wow. Way to write me out of this
Well, the
segment.
No,
Wow.
you don't you
boring
all
enough
may
to me.
do your bits, but this is my bit. This is my checklist bit.
Okay. All right, then do your fucking bit, Mike.
I'm gonna do my fucking bit. David, did they have an excellent?
They certainly did have an adventure.
All right.
Superb answer, sir.
Was any aspect of their adventure bogus?
Yes.
Writing.
Yes.
The animation.
The adventure.
Did the Wild Stallions rule?
No, I don't think they did any of the music stuff.
Yeah.
No.
So they were just
Didn't
Bill and
see
Ted. They
any
were
Wild
not
Stallions.
the Stallions.
Yeah.
Wild Stallions.
Was there any air guitar or Bill and Ted-esque behavior in this episode?
That seems a bit too broad. I mean, they were Bill and
There
Ted.
was a lot
Technically,
of
all of their behavior was.
Okay,
There
so
was
specifically,
some specific wordplay.
specifically,
Yeah,
did
the
they,
wordplay.
Like in the beginning,
Yeah.
Bill did say, what's next for the adventures of Bill ampersand Ted?
Okay.
Or something along the lines of like, when Ted gets a car, it's going to change up the dynamic of Bill ampersand Ted.
Yeah. Number 4. Did they change history?
Ducktail.
Woohoo.
Oh.
They did.
Did they specifically change history?
The stupid fucking rock.
Yes.
Did they solve a mystery?
Or rewrite history.
Okay.
Woo.
Number E. When was the last time you saw a phone booth?
I have seen a payphone recently because they do have them around New York.
Oh, fuck New York. Yeah, of course they do. They don't
I think
get
that's
rid of
someone who was
anything
like
there.
an art installation inside.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen payphones. I don't remember.
A phone
I don't know if
booth.
I've actually seen a booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they don't do booze anymore because they because
And no, I don't think I've ever seen a booth.
we've
The-
criminalized homelessness.
Well, yeah, of course. The last time I saw a phone booth was actually in the DOJ building. Ironically, there was a Batman symbol on the phone booth. Like,
Ironically.
yeah, because obviously Batman doesn't need to change in a phone booth.
It's pretty ironic.
Do you think that payphones still exist, predominantly in New York City or big cities in that regard, for 911 connectivity?
They
I don't
do have
know,
Because
emergency
911 can be
phones.
dialed from any phone anywhere without any charge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I-
have
yeah.
them set up in college campuses where there's emergency phones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
They
emergency
have,
phones,
like,
but it's not 911.
the pole with the blue lights.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
right.
only dial 911.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
one button. It just calls campus security or
Yeah.
police.
But
Last question: How
Lay it
many
on us,
jumps?
Mikey?
How many jumps did they do?
How is this
I
a
do not
checklist?
know.
This is just quizzing
It's
David.
like a quiz. Yeah.
This is the Bill and Ted pop quiz.
This is my
Quiz.
checklist.
Well,
On the top
okay,
of the checklist,
Pop quiz, hotshot.
embarrass David? Check.
What was everybody's favorite Bill and Ted line from this episode?
There is one line that was mildly amused by, and that was when they're driving up the hill, and he says that he's driving most wonderfully in gear numero uno.
God damn it.
With the
Don't
parking
steal my thunder, Matt.
with the parking brake engaged.
Nice.
And then
nice.
and then he says we should roll down the windows to hear the cheers from our adoring fans or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And I was laughing my ass off because I'm just imagining this dude roasting the transmission with a parking brake set. Oh,
Nice.
God damn it. No, that was my thunder too.
We've all
my
done
fave.
that though. Come on.
Nice.
We
No, we haven't.
Did you have a favorite line, Mike?
excellent.
Party
That was
time.
my
So,
favorite
okay.
line.
Okay.
Excellent.
Party time. Excellent.
No, still, again, that's Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know this entire episode made no sense because in the movie they were driving around, and you don't remember that scene where they were
Headbanging.
singing Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah.
they were
Yeah,
headbanging.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the guy who was gonna puke in the back, but he actually turned out to be singing.
Do you think
Yeah.
that? Do you think
Bit of
that
back.
Bill? Do you think that Bill and Ted kill and live inside of Wayne and Garth's skin, or is it the other way around?
Well, I think
Garth
they
is-
killed Bill.
Ooh, they killed Bill.
Ooh, does Uma
Ridiculous.
Thurman actually kill Bill?
Yes.
The-
Bill
her-
as Prescott.
Yes.
I
Bill
think
as Prescott.
I had two lines that I really liked from this, and I think
Okay.
one of them was when Ted said about the Wright brothers. I think I trued when I should have falsed a test question about these dudes.
Yes.
And then the other one was when they were actually about to head out to meet up with Henry Ford. Bill said something along the lines of, "Oh, I remember I had a multiple choice question about this dude on one of my tests." And Ted said, "Did you get the answer right?" And Bill said, "What type of question is that, Ted? Of course I didn't get it right." I really like that. Really like that interplay between the two of them, where it's like,
No, yeah, I
kinda
did
stayed
enjoy
in
that.
character throughout this.
That actually felt like one of the most real moments, where like Bill actually admits that he's not, amazing.
He's self-aware. Yeah,
Right.
It's like the one moment of clarity that he had. Yeah,
The single second of introspection that they were was given to them by the writers. I did enjoy the those two characters more than I thought I would, and I thought like they had fun little interplay and lines, but overall this was not a good cartoon.
yeah.
you know, I think it would have been better if it was half the length.
Yes.
Like instead of making a full half hour, they were like 15-minute shows. Could cut out the entire pirate scene.
It just felt like there was so much nothing in it. Like
Yeah.
all the reasons they were doing things didn't make any sense. It felt like they were trying so hard to invent a reason for this.
No, yeah. Like the call to action in this particular episode was so weak sauce that I imagine. I mean, this is episode 4 in the series, right? So this
Right.
is like they should have still been like on the ball. They should have still been, fresh with the writing. I have a feeling that probably every episode is like this, honestly. But Mike,
Derek.
what did you think? Did you enjoy it, Michael?
I think it's about time that we have such a fresh episode.
Or is it about space?
Time will tell.
Don't encourage him. Stop talking to him.
David, what did you think?
I don't know. It was a lot of the writing. And I
Yeah.
think like Bill and Ted in particular were like trying really hard to speak like they
Salvage the
did
writing.
it sound like they did in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
yeah, I
it
mean,
was
it-
a total waste of time. I would not go for seconds.
Wow.
I like it. Well, I don't. Well, who cares what you don't like? I care.
So, let's move on to voting.
Okay.
I'm going to have to say, now that I know that the voice actors changed in the second season, that we need to keep this for the to do a second season episode.
So we have to do a comparison study, essentially.
Right. Yeah. We gotta break it down.
Nice.
And
nice.
I'd say we have to do episode 4.
We have to see how much worse can get.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it looks like season 1 was 13 episodes and season 4 was 8. So.
Yeah, there we go. Here's a stinker. I think there's something to that because we're starting pretty low, but there's still like some sparks of life in here. Once they lose the talent, this is going to be it's going to be delicious.
Horrific, yeah. This is going to be pure, basically terrible.
It's going to be a trout shave ice of deliciousness.
It's gonna be the Miserables.
So I think,
Oh boy.
David, I was not there with you, but you know what? You make a compelling argument, and I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I have to vote to keep it on too.
David, you had me at I didn't enjoy it.
Oh boy.
Now I gotta say, I was actually expecting to like this a lot less than I did. Like I was expecting this to be pure.
Oh
garbage.
yeah, I thought it was going to
But
be a
there was-
hardcore cash in.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of charm to this, just a little bit, and I think it's really just because they still had all the voice talent. So, like you were saying, Matt. So,
Yeah, like I kind of really liked Rufus's character because he's like very understated the whole time.
yeah, and it is still George Carlin, and like it just feels good to hear his voice sometimes. Honestly,
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Sorry to bust in like this, but the important people slipped me an extra gig.
Missy George.
I miss
And he goes into that bit in the middle where he talks about the 7 things you can't say on TV.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, exactly.
They, I think, really should have put
chef's
that
kiss.
in the show.
I really
So that's
did
where I
an
would've
about
gone.
face on that one.
So I agree with Adam and David. You've convinced me. Next time we roll this, we have to watch season 2.
Yeah, we just have to make sure we're choosing that show.
Do you guys want to watch episode 4 of season 2 just to like apples to apples it?
No,
That's like solidly in the middle of season 2 too.
no.
So,
I want
2
the
also.
I want the
Oh, so you
Dragon
want,
Ball
like,
Z
the-
charging up episode. I want the one that we watched with the mechs. Absolutely fluff
also-
episode.
I can also go for like the final episode too. Like I wouldn't mind the last one just to see exactly how they ended it.
Oh, when Bill finally kills Ted.
Yeah, or when they find out that Bill went back in time and became Ted's father. Yeah, biological father
And emotional.
and emotional. Yes.
Who, if you had to have one of them as your father, which one would you pick?
Ooh.
Time will
Bill,
tell.
obviously.
Really? I would pick Ted.
Really?
Yeah, he seems really relaxed. Also, I love my mother, and I want her to have hot, kinky sex with Keanu Reeves and not Alex Winters.
The reason why I went with Bill is because his full name is William S. Preston Esquire.
Esquire.
So he's a lawyer, baby.
He's a
He's
lawyer in training. You know, I never understood what Esquire meant, so I always tacked that onto my name back in high school too.
I believe it means you were a member of the landed gentry. And you
I,
were-
lowest
I,
level.
I thought it.
Yeah,
I thought it.
Aspire.
I thought it just meant that I was in training with a knight.
Yeah. Well, you
with
were,
an
right?
S Knight.
No, that
With an
is
S
that is a
Knight,
squire, not esquire. Esquire means that you have passed the bar exam.
Oh.
Oh, thank you, Derek.
So
So-
we do know that if that's the case, that Bill is actually
Not a knight in training.
Doogie Howser level genius, because he actually passed the bar when he was in high school, and he's just sort of like acting like a ditzy teenage kid just to like fit in, because he's trying to make sure that he still maintains some sort of friendships.
David, who would you like as your father?
Darth Vader.
Let's give them both a shot, and I'd rather not know.
Oh man!
Rolling the genetic dice.
They're Eskimo brothers.
All right.
Wow. All right.
All right. So, would we let any significant other watch this episode?
Well, we still haven't heard from you and Derek. Who
No.
would you want your father to be?
I would want my father to be Rufus.
Oh,
All right.
Good call. Time traveling.
Yeah, technically not an
Hobo.
option, but
Nice.
I'm gonna give
Yeah.
it to you.
Unless Rufus is like Bill and Ted's great grandson, and he's like the culmination of the two of them.
Oh, like when their
He's-
bloodlines finally merge.
I mean,
Yeah, he's got both of their genetics in him. Yeah.
how far in the future was Rufus from?
It's never exactly clear, I believe. Do they give a year in the movie?
I don't think they do.
2066.
Let's see. Oh, the future timeline is 2688.
Oh wow. Okay.
20
Oh,
XD8.
wow. That is quite a bit away.
That's
Yeah.
500 years.
26
It's 500 years from when the movie was released.
Oh, thank God it's not 2015 when
Exactly.
there's flying cars and
Oh.
self-lacing shoes.
Not 700 years
Yeah.
when the movie was released.
All right. So,
I would not let my kids
a couple
watch
things that I've missed out on. Did I like the show? Not really.
Yeah.
Should we keep it? Not really. But after listening to the banter going back and forth to where we get new voice actors, I'm interested.
You're cautiously disappointed. It's like the opposite of being cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Cautiously pessimistic.
This was just
Yeah.
just from a standpoint of enjoying these shows, you know, because I try and go into it. I don't try and say, you know, like, or I don't try and essentially bring my childhood into watching these shows, right? And I'm not being like, I don't remember this shit. I just didn't like this one. It was meh, you know. The only thing that I really actually like kind of that grabbed me, I guess you could say, was the fact that they actually brought up the fact that the Pilgrims did not come from England, you know. Like that's a very, very not well proliferated fact.
You're
The fact
pissed that
Pilgrims,
Squanto wasn't
they,
in here.
They originated in England, but then they went to Holland and then they came to the United States. And that was the only thing in this episode that I went, oh my God, wow. But
Okay.
I kind of want to see the abortion that is the new voice actors
Oh.
and see how bad that is. So I vote keep it. Would I let my kid watch it? No. This is lowbrow bullshit.
Agreed.
What else? Who do I want to be my dad?
Arsenio
John
Hall.
Wick.
John Wick.
John Wick.
John Wick.
Ultimately, what
Have
Ted
I answered-
becomes.
Have I answered all the questions?
Baba Yaga.
I want him to show me some cool gun moves.
Baba
Yeah, I think that sounds
Yaga.
Matt, you said no to your child?
No. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And Mike, no to your
This is Dum Dum.
child's.
Yeah, this is Dum Dum level.
What'd you say?
Dum Dum.
I also really hated the animation style of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It did seem cheap. Like it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't seem well, kind of intended.
It felt lazy.
So, we ready to do some redemption?
Let us
Yep.
be
Oh, yeah.
redeemed.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Derek, what change do
Derek,
you want
nice.
to make to the list?
Holy fuck! I'm up again. Jesus Christ. All right. Okay. I want James Bond Jr. into the rotation. I remember watching that one as a kid. Oh
Me
fuck
too.
yeah! And Yep, and
Bond.
I will.
James Bond. Jr.
Wait, you're at, wait. I'm having some cognitive dissonance with
Dissonance.
you saying that you remember the show and you want it added to the list.
I don't remember if it's good or not, but I just remember that
it's
one
not.
from.
It's not.
Yeah, put that shit on the list.
All right, and our next redemption is for Matt.
Yay!
Yeah, Matt.
Who can I fuck over? Who can I fuck over? What's it? Oh, so I missed what David did. Sorry. I said which
With
Derek
Derek.
did. Yeah.
Derek added James Bond Jr. to the list.
Oh dear.
The Adventures of James Bond Jr.
Boy, that sounds so bad. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'd like to get rid of
Do it.
116 Pokemon.
What's that? What?
I'd like to get rid of it, please.
Really?
Get Pokemon off the list.
That is very strange. Is it because there's 1,119 episodes of it?
I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really had an attachment to Pokemon.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I'm surprised you took it off.
I don't want it cluttering up our garbage. I don't want us to be popular.
We want cartoons 26 hours a day.
Tell me what is Index 465?
Cyberpunk 2077.
465.
We've got 466. Rainbow Bright.
No, we go
Whoa.
underneath, don't we?
No, we go up.
No, we go up. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get.
Rainbow Bright? We have like fucking hundreds. We might even have thousands of fucking cartoons and live action shows by this point in time, and we're redoing fucking Rainbow Bright.
We didn't
Okay.
get rid of it. We didn't get rid of it.
Go down.
We deserve this.
Jesus. All right.
All
right.
I, for one, welcome our new Rainbow Overlords.
We get some murkiness up in here.
I was feeling a
Murky,
little murky.
twerky.
I was feeling a little murky the other night, but I've been getting those
Squirky.
wet wipes.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why you got to get a bidet. We need to pick the episode of Rainbow Bright that we want to watch.
Okay. Well, that'll be
Right.
up to Matt because he will be
Oh,
doing the summary.
Excellent.
What? No.
Matthew.
Damn it.
We watched episode 3, Peril in the Pits.
I thought we watched the first episode.
I thought it was the first episode too, but I'm actually looking through right now, and it says that Peril in the Pits is actually episode 3.
We learned that they were all like specials that got cut up. Like that,
Yeah.
that it's not like one continuous series.
I was just gonna say, I think that the first quote unquote episodes were actually like a movie
Yeah.
that they had broken down into 2 parts. So the beginning of Rainbow Land Part 1 and beginning of Rainbow Land Part 2 were the first 2 that aired. So, just going off of the names, you want Star Sprinkled.
Sounds delicious.
Episode 9, June 19th, 1986, when a sneaky intergalactic salesman
I love it.
shrinks Twink into signing over the Color Caves. Rainbow Bright and her friends have to convince him that they need them back for more than just profit.
Oh, I think I picked well.
I think you did too, because it is so horrible that no writer has actually accepted responsibility for the script.
I'm just super excited about it. I believe every episode of Rainbow Bright was written by a concerned parent.
Ooh.
That's
Good call.
Star Sprinkled. All right. So, on a future episode of Amazingly Terrible, we will be watching Rainbow Bright, Episode 9, Star Sprinkled. But next time on Amazingly Terrible, we will be watching Starfleet Bomber X, Destroy the Prison Planet, Episode 18.
Sounds good.
Oh boy.
And Starfleet Bomber X is going to be Derek, and this is our first puppet episode. coming up. Our first marionette.
Yeah, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this entire podcast with our puppets.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm still waiting to
We'll be
animate
doing
this
some,
entire
Penis
like,
puppeteering.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go into that, but the South Park cock magic episode, yes.
I still want to put our podcast.
No, I'm
on
stoked.
YouTube.
Have you guys watched the episode yet?
No, not yet.
I have.
It's
Is it good? Is it really good?
I liked it.
Nice.
Not probably for the reasons of like it was amazing television. I really like their uniforms. So, that's a spoiler. Cut that one out. Like, I thought the costume design on it was fucking incredible.
All right.
Nice.
This whole episode has given me a headache.
Yes,
I-
this was a
I-
bad.
I know. I'm sorry, David.
Gentlemen, this
I
was
got
a bad
excited.
episode.
I should take some Nuprin.
Oh, goodness.
It's little, yellow,
Yeah.
different.
Is Mike still there? Is he still muted?
No. Am I?
Mike is
Oh,
still
has-
muted.
Mike, have you been writing like the perfect song this entire time?
I think he's been talking, and he's just been muted.
Can any of us unmute him, or
It's okay. We'll
No,
Daryl?
only Mike can unmute himself.
there he goes? What, Mike? Have you been spinning comedy gold this whole time? I mean, we'll hear it on the recording once it gets to us.
Oh God, that's
Yeah, I
right.
can only imagine.
Fuck. Disregard
Oh boy!
everything. I did not mean
Nice,
that.
nice.
Your mothers are all very wonderful people.
Nice. For this particular bogus journey, I've been Wild Adam,
I've been Stallion Matt
Stallion.
Stallion.
I've been Station David.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
I've been Mike, and ask your doctor if Iron Maidening is right for you. Symptoms include anal leakage and slight death.
Okay.
The
Wow.
anal leakage before the slight death.
And this is Rufus Derrick, and I'm gonna get this
Nice.
podcast Back to the Future for a 20,000-year tune-up. See you.
Jesus Christ.
Nice. Good callback.
Should we do
Derek.
every hack
Nice.
bit that we know?
We should. Yeah. Of course we should.
Hack
This is
bit.
amazingly terrible. When else would we do it?
Yeah, we're awful at this. It's okay.
We're awfully terrible.
Amazingly Terrible is produced by David and Adam. Music by Josh Woodward. Send your email to monotonouslyterrific@amazinglyterrible.com.
Okay, the original
Nice, nice.
novels of The Miserables and Phantom of the Opera are out of copyright.
The
Because-
Miserables.
Okay.
That's how it's
The Miserables.
Hey, if El Nino means the Nino, then Les Miserables means the Miserables.
Oh my god.